Allison H. Larson here, and today I'm going to talk to you about image. That's right, about image. Now, if you're thinking about being an influencer, your image is really important. So what does being an influencer mean? It means that you have an impact or an influence on somebody. So if you feel like you want to make a greater impact on the world, you want to influence more people, then pay attention to these simple tips on how to increase your image and how to have a better image on social media, when you present on stages, when you're speaking to a crowd, when you're doing that Facebook Live, when you're on a TV interview. These are really important tools and tips. And it also has to do with your headshot as well. So pay attention to this because you're all going to want a headshot for your website and bio. So when it comes to image, the first thing that you want to think about is, what is your brand? What are the things that you stand for? Go ahead and write 3 words that describe this. Let me explain this a little bit more before you write those words. So for example, when I think of my brand, when I think about being an intuition expert, I think of intuitive, loving, connecting. So intuitive, loving, connecting. So I'm going to write down those 3 words. So think about it. Don't think about it too hard. Just write down the first 3 words that come to your mind. Go ahead and pause the video now. 3 words that describe what you do in your business. Go. All right, now that you've written down these 3 words, you're going to keep these 3 words in mind as we talk about image, as we talk about headshots. So you want your image, you want how you look to match the message that you're giving. And I want to give you a brief example of this, a brief story that happened. So I have a beautiful friend and a client, and when I first started working with her, she had started a nonprofit, and she was helping people that were going through chemotherapy connect with other people that were going through chemotherapy. And she was doing some amazing things in the world. She was speaking on stages, she was appearing on TV and radio, and she would always wear the same color. She would always wear black. Now, what's the problem with wearing black when you're talking to people that are struggling with a potentially terminal illness? Right? It says funeral, it says depressing. So when I started working with her, I said, Tamara, we need to pick a different color. We need to pick something that's more uplifting. What does your brand represent? She said, hope and love and healing. So she picked a color. It was actually this color that I'm wearing now. She picked fuchsia. And that's what she wanted, to have people have this hope and this bright and this happy color. And so every time she spoke, she started wearing the color fuchsia. Every time she appeared on TV or radio, every time she went to a networking event, when she got her headshots redone, she made sure it incorporated fuchsia. Now this was amazing because she also had fuchsia in her brand color. So this was something that was very consistent. What I want you to take away from this story is consistency. When you're building your brand, when you're building your image as an influencer, you need to be consistent. So, and you want that consistency to match the message that you're giving. So with Tamara, the color that matched her message was the pink. The consistency that she had was that she wore the same color in her wardrobe every time she appeared as an influencer. Now, there are other ways to do this. You don't always have to wear the same color every single time. You can pick a style. So maybe there's a certain style that you have every time you appear as an influencer on media, on radio, in your headshot. So for example, when I first got started speaking, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I dressed like a stay-at-home mom. Like I was wearing these comfortable flowy maxi dresses, and I would wear these mom jeans and blouses, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't really consistent with my message, and it wasn't consistent with how I wanted people to see me as an expert as I was speaking on stages. So I hired a stylist, and the consistency I found was I would wear solid color dresses like this, and they would be more form-fitting, and then I'd wear high heels. And so people always knew me as the tall blonde, and I was wearing these form-fitting dresses. Now, if you're a man, there's some other ways to do this. Maybe what's consistent with your message is suits. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a t-shirt and jeans and kicks, and you wear those every single time you're on stage. Another friend of mine, a speaker that I worked with, when he started speaking, he had a really high energy. You want your image to match your energy. He had a high energy, and suits just didn't fit him, but he wanted to look more professional. So what he decided to do was he got a bunch of suit coat jackets that were really bright colors and a bunch of fun colored shoes. Every time he appeared on stage, he'd wear jeans, a white shirt, and then he'd wear this colorful suit coat and these colorful shoes. And everybody knew, even though the suit coat was a different color every time, that he was going to show up with this bright suit coat and these bright shoes. At another male client I worked with, and his brand was all about manning up. He worked with males. It was all about being a man, being tough. He had tattoos, and he wore a black shirt every time he spoke with jeans and red Converse. And that's what he wore. That was consistent with his brand and his message. So think about what's consistent with your brand and message. Now, here's why it's important to be consistent. So if you show up one day on your social media, if you show up one day at a networking event, one day on stage, and you're dressed in a nice dress, high heels, hair's done, makeup on, and the next day you show up and you're dressed in your yoga pants and a ponytail, in people's mind, they're going to have a little bit of mistrust, even if it's their subconscious mind. They're going to think, who is this person? Can I trust them? Do I know them? Now, here's another pet peeve of mine when it comes to image and headshots. Use a consistent, up-to-date picture. Do not use a picture from 10 or 20 years ago. Do not use a picture when you were 10 or 20 pounds lighter. Yes, you may have looked better. Yes, you may feel better about yourself, but people will see that image and then they see you, and again, it's a mistrust in their mind. You look different than your picture. Find a picture that's consistent and do not overly Photoshop your picture. You want it to represent who you are. So hopefully you're getting some really good ideas now. Number one, you want whatever you are wearing, however you look, to match those three words, to match your brand, to match your message. I have another real quick story about this. I have a speaker. He's on my Speakers Coalition. You can go and look at it right now. He used to play football, professional football. And now he's teaching people that are in sports to find happiness, right? He's teaching kids of all different ages how to be happy as they go ahead and grow up in these sports and become these professionals. And his picture on the website is a mugshot. It looks like a football picture. And I told him, I said, that's not consistent with your brand. Nobody's going to want to talk to you about being happy when your picture looks like a mugshot. So if your brand's about happiness, make sure you smile in your pictures. If your brand's a little more serious, you can be more serious. And speaking of headshots, you can do black and white. You can do a little off-centered. You can be looking up. You can get creative in your headshots, but just make sure that they match the image and the message that you're giving. So make sure everything you do matches your image and your message. Color, style, headshots, the way you look, the way you dress. Number two, be consistent about it. Pick a style or a brand and be consistent about it. And then number three, make sure that you are good with it. Do not choose something that doesn't align with you. If you aren't comfortable wearing high heels, don't pick an image that includes high heels. If you're a man and you are uncomfortable wearing a suit, don't pick an image where you're wearing a suit all the time. You want to feel most comfortable and the best about yourself wherever you are. So take these tips for image, go look in your wardrobe right now, and maybe this is a cue to go on a fun shopping trip. Pick something that represents you, that's going to be consistent about who you are. Make sure you show up that way every single time you show up as an influencer.